Oh man, that's
No
some
more
funky
music?
music.
Yeah. Party
Hello,
music.
everybody. As you can see, great mood here, right?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another K6 Office Hours. I'm saying it because we're all like, are you doing it?
Yeah.
Am I doing
We
it?
didn't
So
rehearse
I'm
it.
just saying it. I'm Nicole van der Hoeven, and today is super special because all four of us K6 DevRels are here. Sound off, please, DevRels. I meant like introduce yourselves.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I'm in the top left corner, it looks like. So I'll go first. Second, I should say. Paul Baylog, DevRel, Dev Advocate.
Marie Cruz, Dev Advocate here at Grafana Labs.
Leandro, also known as Señor Performo. And guess what I do as well? Yeah, advocate.
So today's a little
Crazy.
bit different because usually we talk about different ways to use K6, but this is the 100th episode of K6 Office Hours. So we thought we'd take a break and then kind of like do a reflection on what we've done in the last 100 episodes and also how K6 has grown in that time. I mean, for starters, we're on the Grafana channel now too.
We're everywhere.
Yeah, we're
Almost.
pretty much we're on Twitch, LinkedIn, and 2 YouTube channels. So yay!
Yay. Yeah, I can't believe we
So
made
this
it 100 episodes now.
Yeah. It's
so this
crazy.
is going
Yeah.
to be a little bit more of a live fika style. But does someone want to talk about what a fika even is?
Yeah, that's a Swedish tradition that as we joined K6 and Grafana, I just took the word, sorry. I'm so very excited. And the people over there don't say, hey, let's go grab a coffee and chat a little bit. No, they get a fika, which is a weird situation because the fika is a type of bread. It's like roll, baked roll thing. Am I describing
What
the
in
fika well?
Sweden? I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
No way.
Yeah, I thought it just meant you get some
Like
sort of a sweet baked good, and so you
yeah,
have a little, pastry of some sort,
coffee and cakes.
and
Yeah.
coffee and talk.
I'm actually gonna share with the people and try to share screen of how does a traditional fika look like, because it's awesome. The first time that I tried it, and there wasn't that many because I have gluten issues, but finding the screen share, we were not prepared for this at all, as you can see.
Well,
Just
me, we
your
are
live
so
fika.
prepared.
The,
We
the
are
fika just
pros.
came up, so let's welcome to the stage the fika, that little roundy thing with
Yes.
nuts and stuff. That is a Swedish fika,
Ah,
popular in the
did
Norwegian
not know
countries.
that.
And
Yeah.
it's not about the coffees to have like how do they say in England, Mary? They do also let's have a
Well,
biscuit or something.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Tea
like
time.
afternoon tea. Yeah, tea time. Scones and yeah, tea.
Hmm. So
Oh.
we deviated a little bit here. Um,
Oh no,
we
this
have
is off
this
to a great
never
start.
happens, right? With so many of us. So we have this tradition because we are a remote company and everyone is everywhere, and that can generate some disconnection among people. So for that, we have a random program in our internal Slacks that say, hey, Leandro, you're going to have a fika randomly with Paul or with the CEO or with this other person. It gets crazy. And you get to have a good chat one-on-one, usually. But we, the DevRels, decided to do crazy stuff. And
Secret
Yeah,
meeting.
I think this
we,
is a uniquely DevRel problem, and now we're getting
Yeah.
into how K6 Office Hours started to begin with. But before I get into that, if you also have a preferred beverage at hand, why don't you crack it open and join us? Not
Yeah.
really, I'm thinking of beer, but yeah, anyway. How
and
this
no fika,
started,
but chocolates. At the very least, something to have,
okay.
right?
Mm.
How this started was with someone who actually unfortunately isn't here anymore, but still a good friend of Grafana and K6.
Not with a
He,
company.
his name, his name,
Me?
That
His name
sounded
is
weird.
Sime Aronson.
Itimeng.
And he and I were the DevRels at K6 at the time, and we had a weekly catch up at this time. And we chose this time because it's, the last thing that we were going to do on a Friday afternoon. And our fikas were so random. Like sometimes most of the time there was something about work. Sometimes it was just like banter and whatever. And we always had a lot to learn from each other. He's a developer and I'm a tester. And so we came at things from different points of view. And we would talk about things like observability and realize there's a lot to learn from each other. And so being DevRels, we were like, why don't we just stream this? Because we talked about all of these things anyway. And so I looked it up on February 5th, 2021. We did
Wow.
the first K6 office hours. And my idea for office hours was, how at a university, when you have a subject, a professor would have a certain number of hours for office hours, and then people can go and ask their questions and whatever. Just it was like an open door kind of policy anyway. And that was my idea, that we would have this time and people could ask us questions and we would tackle them. Small problem, we didn't really get questions.
That happens.
So, yeah, I mean, it was like number one. So we went into the community forum. So if you look at the very first K6 office hours, we answered some unanswered questions in the community forum, and then we posted the video response to each of them. So that's how office hours started.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, too bad we couldn't have gotten Sime on here. That would have been nice. We haven't, and because it was nice, we got to all see him. What was that? Last July when we were all in Stockholm together, and we actually got to meet up with Sime. That ramen noodle place, wasn't it?
Yes,
Wasn't it
yes.
ramen noodle place? That
Mhm.
yeah.
Oh, I
It's
missed
still
out on
morning here for now, but that sounds good.
Yeah, it does. Well, how did you each come to office hours? Maybe we can talk about that.
I think I was the first one after, right? So let's
Mhm.
go in chronological order.
Yep.
My story is, I think most of us had a similar
Actually, you're
story.
not the first. Did you say you're the first one?
Of
Oh, I
the
think I'm
four
the
of us
first.
here? Really?
You're not the first one
Uh-oh.
I think
Uh-oh.
on office hours.
This is
It was
shocking.
Marie.
This
Bring it
is
on.
shocking.
Yeah, I didn't tune in for that one. Now I'm going to have to search that.
Yeah.
I
So
was
I looked it up. Go on, Marie.
no, I was looking it up as well, and I'm actually on the fourth episode.
Oh.
And I have just started my previous role at Zoopla, and Nicole just sent me a message and said that, hey, we have this new thing at K6 where we do like weekly live streams. Would you like to join us? And then I joined, and yeah, we talked about Cypress, about front end performance testing, and even things like accessibility. So that was a great time for me, because it was the first time I've experienced this sort of live fika style. Like normally I would prepare for something, but with this sort of conversations, like I think Nicole, you didn't even share any like talking points. You just said, yeah, we're gonna chat for 1 hour and we're gonna stream.
Nicole likes to do that. She
Yeah.
likes to throw things on you and see how you
Look,
react.
I am a consummate professional. I always have talking points in advance, and I totally do not wing it ever.
I mean, nowadays that's the case. I think those were the early days, right? That things were
Yeah.
getting tuned.
So Marie
that's
actually
funny.
joined on the 4th episode of K6 Office Hours. At that point, we were so unsure about like, what is this even going to be? What is it going to be? Questions? Is it going to be guests? Is it going to be us? Is it tutorials? It kind of evolved over time. And yeah, we didn't have a checklist then because it was just me that was doing it. Timmy was just showing up, and yeah, we were both like pretty good at just winging stuff. Well, pretty comfortable at winging stuff anyway. But yeah, so Marie was actually the first one of the three of you on episode 4, and then Leandro followed at episode 30. And that's one of the best things that I love about office hours is that
Oh, he was at
you
6.
both now work. Oh, was he at 6? Did he come at
Yeah,
6?
I'm looking through a list of all the history, and then
Was I that
Leandro
early?
was was
I know
like
that
Oh
6.
yeah,
I
yeah,
haven't been
you're
only once.
right.
I know I said at the end I'll be back, and
Yeah.
back I was.
Yes, you were.
Looks like it's with Pepe as well.
You're
Pepe?
right. I'd forgotten about that.
With Pepe? Was Pepe there with you?
On that first office hours? I'm not sure. I think it was only Nicole and I, right?
There was a
Hmm.
lot, but there was. Well, let's talk about some stats here. It's been 945 days, 2.5 years of K6 office hours, 100 videos, and 100 hours,
Wow.
and I did all but 17 of them.
Wow.
So that was pretty interesting. Which do you think are the most popular videos without actually looking? Because I know you can find that out, but like, which do you think did the best?
I know
Mm,
the Postman to K6 episode was quite popular because that was
Mhm.
something that I watched as well. Um, that's the one thing that I can think of on the top of my head.
I
It
think
wa
as
it wasn't
well.
my week of load testing.
I remember we had like a huge come of people on Matt's beginner dumb questions
Yeah.
episode
Yeah, that
because
was a
many people will feel like they are in the same place, and very frequently those are the very first questions that we get, like, hey, what is performance? Why shouldn't I put it without sleep or think times or
yeah.
pacing? Some of those, I think that episode was a blast.
Yeah, the explain it like I'm 5 episode.
Hmm. Not dumb. Sorry if I said it that way.
Yeah, looking through the list too, it's I noticed that Ivan jumped in on the chat there, but Ivan joined us on the 15th episode, which is pre-Paul. That's I wasn't even with K6 yet. But yeah, Ivan Skibo was on there and Mihail.
So the episodes are now dated pre-poll, post-poll.
Exactly. That's the epoch is the when I joined K6 and Grafana.
And I think also the introductory with basic topics on performance testing. Oh, browser ones. Browser ones that people
They
are
do well.
very interested about browser automation and performance. And introductory, the testing types with Pepe. That one I remember had quite a bit of people, a good amount. The ones that I remember with most people, everyone watching, we have a little counter here where we find out how many of you are tuning. And in the ones that I saw this backstage, I think those have been the most crowded, to call it in a way. What do you
Yeah,
think?
so I won't take offense. I know it's not the K6 operator talk or Kubernetes. So yeah, which one was it, Nicole? Stop leaving us
Yeah,
hanging.
I looked at the top 3, and there are one was already mentioned. Postman for load testing using K6 is by far the most popular one. That was with a friend of ours, Tim Hasselars, and he talked about how to be able to set up something as a Postman, like a bunch of different test cases as a Postman collection, and then execute them using K6. So a lot of people really like that idea. I think because if you're an automation tester that's looking into getting into performance, then that's like an easy thing because you probably have already used Postman, and Postman is really good for API testing in general, and it has a great interface. So that still holds true. The second most popular one was how to analyze load testing results.
With
Oh.
Nicole and Paul.
Yes.
Oh, really?
And the third one was distributed load testing using Kubernetes with
What?
me and Paul.
Oh my!
So in all three of them, it was me and Paul.
Nice.
We should
They
get out of
like
here,
me.
Marie.
They really like me.
Maybe we're like special mentions, Leandro. Like honorable mentions.
Yeah. So that was pretty
Wow.
cool. And I think that those were really good topics as well. They're I remember each of those, and I did think that it was particularly cool. Things like how to analyze load testing results. I feel like there's not a lot of content around that.
Yeah.
And it's also something that you can only talk about if you've done it, and if you've seen enough of the results and gone through enough projects to be able to spot some patterns.
That's always pain in the behind at times when you are being asked, like, hey, what is my problem in terms of performance? That's a science, and it's gets really entertaining.
Yeah.
Maybe a bit euphemistic, but it's entertaining.
But now it's getting easier. I mean, with things like with the tracing and all that stuff, if you hook in all that tracing data, you can see where some of the bottlenecks are and why your metrics are kind of going up in a bad way. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah. So I wonder if we should talk a little bit about the behind the scenes of K6 office hours.
Oh, behind
Let-
that, yeah, the
Let's
secrets.
talk about how the sausage is done.
Yes, the sausage is
Yeah,
made.
yeah. I think that's part of it, right?
The last minute preparation.
Yeah.
Well, how did you each feel
The
when you were
Paul
invited?
problem. Yeah.
How did you each feel when you were first invited to office hours?
Yeah, I think for me, so maybe I can speak from two perspective. One was, an external guest. That was obviously less intimidating, like if in some way, because I'm just speaking about my experience, and both you and Sime were asking the questions. But then when I became a DevRel here at Grafana Labs, like suddenly I also have to start asking questions. I have to do all the preparations as well. I have to do all the demo. So at first that was quite scary, but I think, yeah, like with everything, I guess just practice. Because I remember I mentioned to like few of you that, yeah, like this is like a scary thing, like doing everything live. And sometimes like we're doing last minute like preparations. And I just remember before, like I'm like, oh my god, it's gonna be Friday and we don't have a topic yet for 36 office hours. What's happening? But now, yeah, I think now it's much more relaxed for me.
Yeah. Having a weekly cadence is actually quite a bit. I mean,
Yeah.
that's there's a good reason for it kind of being last minute sometimes, because it's quite quite fast paced to have to come up with the ideas and put it all together.
Yeah.
I think I have two perspectives, probably Maria as well, because first it was joining as a guest, and now I remember that first time just to come and do my usual rant on performance and load testing differences. And it was kind of easy because, yes, those were the winging it days. And fortunately for me, I already knew Nicole in advance, lots of previous experience. She came to Perfects en Español. Subscribe if you haven't to the podcast. And
You came
Link
to
down
Ask a
below.
Flooder. You came to the Flood YouTube channel when I was working for Tricentis Flood. I was already trying to work with you and on video as well.
Video podcast. I was making Nicole practice and exercise her Spanish in some other interactions. So it was already for me like a regular conversation. Hey, Nicole, yeah, here's my usual rant and performance and load testing and blah.
Mm.
But I gotta say, the second one, I think it was around my book that we talked about
Yes.
it a bit.
Yeah.
That was more structured. I remember that you sent me some of the main topics. Was several months, like probably a year after that first episode, and I could see there was evolution happening. Nicole was working very much on getting things streamlined and better. There was a third one right before I joined, to talk about joining K6 and
SLOs
Grafana.
as well.
Yeah, wasn't. Oh yeah, for the YouTube videos that we did. Oh boy, there was so
Yeah.
much.
So I
And
think with both you and Marie, like, because Marie, we had been talking already on the side. We had already done a joint presentation at a virtual meetup for Ministry of Testing in the Philippines. And so there was already rapport there. What about for you, Paul? Because you came in and, we had talked, but, we didn't have that connection
Right.
before
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, no, first time coming on back in episode 41. Yeah, I was such a youthful, naive person, and it's
but there
yeah.
was a click right away. I saw like I feel that mustache kind of like gets a good tuning.
Uh-huh. Well, see, I was always nervous that I was hired because we were like 1 month apart in our start days. And then I just remembered when they hired me, and then I saw that you had started and you had the mustache too. I'm like, oh man, they really messed up probably. They were probably like, yeah, hire the guy with the mustache. I can't remember his name, and then they're like, wait, they both had
Oh
mustaches. So they're
no.
like,
Oh,
oh, I guess we got to hire Paul too.
now we gotta keep it.
It's like, whoops, we can't pull that that back. But no, it was it was fun. But of course, before I was on my first office hours, I had to kind of watch through all these different videos and be like, oh man, I'm gonna be with sitting there with Nicole. It's like, uh-oh, that was the start of my life in the shadows of Nicole. It's
You've never
I'm
been.
not worthy.
It's not physically possible for you to stand in my shadow. For
For the
everyone
record,
else not watching, I'm like typical Asian, 5'3". How tall are you, Paul?
I'm 6'1".
Yeah.
Yeah.
so that
So,
first episode, Paul, how did it go?
It went great, actually. From what I remember, anyway, I wasn't traumatized enough that it's, back there in my mind that it's like,
You
oh,
erased
that
it
was
from.
exactly. So yeah, no, it's been fun. I've really enjoyed doing these office hours. There was a
Yeah.
time where I stepped away for a little bit, where it was just like, oh, so many office hours. Don't other people want to talk too? But yeah, no.
We wanna hear you, Paul.
But I like the fun and the comedic approach that you put into the episodes,
That's
Paul. Yeah,
exactly.
we've
I,
had some really awesome comments from from the community, like who watch you.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because we need the hashtag pints with Paul, right? Wasn't
Yeah.
that?
so
That's
Yeah,
a
that
I
would
common
be
wanted.
thing
awesome.
in KSIX news as well. Like that guy, Paul. We always get a comment.
Yeah, like that pilot. I
That's right.
always
Yeah,
laugh
yeah,
when that pilot
yeah.
comes on or whatever.
That is like got to be one of the most fun things doing that is the KSIX news. That's
What are you gonna end up doing with the cats this time?
exactly.
Yeah.
So I wanted to show what it actually looks like when we plan one of these. I use Obsidian to
Oh,
plan
you're
them, and
Oh,
this
truly
is
going backstage.
yeah,
Wow.
and this is actually this is just I'm using Obsidian as an IDE, but this is a bunch of markdown files that go into the GitHub repo, and I like to embed. So this is the template that we all work from. and I would embed it here. We have guests, topics, some timestamps for after the fact, and a checklist for what we're going to do so that anyone can do this.
Yeah.
So this is things like the logistics of what software we use, where we announce things, what channel on Slack we post, we schedule announcements for, and then some things before the show, and then for after it as well. So
Yeah.
that's how things get made. So like that's what this looks like for this episode. See,
I
I've got
remember
some ideas.
Yeah, I remember like creating this for the first time, and I remember saying like, "Wow, this is very thorough." Like
Organized.
I don't have to ask Nicole like what should I do? Like how do I create a thumbnail or how do I schedule it? Like everything's just laid out perfectly. So Nicole pretty much have all the foundations like ready for us. So it's really great because at least we don't have to constantly ask you for questions. Everything's just written down, so even if you're not available, even if you're not doing it, then we can just all do it ourselves. So that's a really great thing about the whole template thing.
And that's what I
Brought to
think
you by Obsidian.
it reflects a lot. The because for my first time, like, hey, Leandro, it's your turn to drive an office hours. What? And da da da.
Yeah.
And going through the steps and everything was so streamlined, so easy to follow. And I think I don't know if blaming it on you or the culture in general or both here at Grafana and K6. Uh, just as I joined K6, that was as well like, hey, how do I do these steps? And okay, is this? Mind documenting it and having like a step flow. And very quickly, that's part of, I think, the DNA here of is not documented, create a set of steps, make it easy for the next person that may have to live through it. And I gotta say, the mix of Nicole's habits and Obsidian usage
Mm.
has made it very, very straightforward. Yeah, thanks, Nicole. That's awesome job.
Aw, thank you.
Yeah.
No, from the beginning, I wanted this to be something that everybody could do because let me tell you, when it was just me and Sima, and then when he left, it was just me for a while. It's
Mm.
really difficult because I did everything, and so when everyone else came on board, I'm like, please, like step in. I want the help. I want a break sometimes too.
Speaking of the difficulty, maybe I can ask a question. What was the
Yeah.
most difficult or most chaotic episode that
Oh my god.
because I can think of one.
Oh, you start. You start.
Okay, so my one was, you remember we did that episode about the Swiss Army approach from
Was it
like
Ro?
protesting? Yes, like
Yes.
oh my god. So we wanted to demonstrate how you can combine different like testing types, and we wanted to focus on the browser test with the disruptor test. And literally like 5 minutes before going live, Nicole and I, it's not working, the demo's not working. Like a while ago it was working, and then suddenly now my script is broken. And then Nicole just suddenly message Ro. I don't think if you did it in like capital letters or what, but
No, no.
like they was such like a lifesaver because they joined us what like 2 minutes before the live stream, and it was totally unplanned, and they just stayed the whole of the episode. So yeah,
Yeah. I
kudos.
think I didn't do it in all caps. I went the charm route and
Okay.
like was like, please, please, please.
Yeah.
or in Spanish. I was talking in Spanish, but yeah. I was like, please, can you join us, maybe? But I actually can think of something even worse.
Oh wow.
I don't know who is with oh maybe I shouldn't mention who it is, which one it is. We had we had a guest planned, an external guest,
Mm.
and they didn't show up. And we didn't hear from them until hours afterwards. And luckily, there was somebody that I had tagged in from someone internal who came in and could speak enough about it, and that plus my research on the topic like meant we could still talk about it. But yeah, that was really difficult. Sometimes that was the only time that someone canceled last, not even canceled, didn't show up. And that was
Yeah.
really, really difficult to wing.
I can't imagine because, like, oh my God, what do we do?
Yeah.
Or
That's an
Yeah,
amazing
because
save, though. At
Yeah.
least you were able
yeah,
to save that.
yeah, because usually when we bring someone external in, this person was going to talk about their product. They were with this company, and they were going to show how it worked with K6. And we didn't duplicate that because we knew that they were going to show it. So I did research on like on the company and how it worked and questions to ask them. And then this other person from K6 had used that company in the past. So between the two of us, we were still able to show something, and I was so grateful because that was quite difficult.
Hmm.
How about you, Paul or Leandro? Do any moments come up for you?
I, you know, I don't know of any that really gave me more stress than anything. I don't know, because again, I come in. I'm just here for comedic relief. I'm just, I'm here to bring the party. So it's usually I don't have the stress of all the other stuff.
I think
You've
that's,
done some demos though, and like
yeah.
they were all really good.
Yeah, yeah. I guess yeah. Those typically don't bother me too awful much.
I think that's the biggest roadblock or like situation that popped. Like, let's try to do a demo, show something, or even some slides at times. Was like, oh my God, it's not opening. It's not opening. I remember a time that I think I even had to change computer because the computer was not working just before we
Yeah,
were about to. Uh, um, Gladly never had to kind of resort to the cell phone and yeah, office hours from the phone, but technology. I think those have been the biggest at times.
Mm.
true.
I think sometimes even, just thinking that, wow, we have to do this for 1 hour. Can we actually fail the whole hour? It sometimes worries me.
Actually, yeah,
Yeah.
I'll second that. Actually, that is one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, are we going to be able to talk about this for an hour? And then
Yeah.
it's never been a case where it's been a problem. It's always been easy to fill up the hour. That's like now I'm looking at the clock. Are we going to be able to fill this up with an hour? It's-
Oh yes,
And
I have more to talk about.
oh,
the best part
are
is
we
that
all getting tattoos now? It's
I mean,
live on
haven't we
live
already?
stream. We're gonna live stream. Didn't we all arrange tattoo artists to come in and do this on camera?
sure.
So I think for me, the worst. You were talking about specific things, right, Marie? But for me in general as well, the prep can be quite difficult. I think this is just an hour, but what people don't see is the research that we have to do beforehand, and it also very widely depends on the topic. There are topics where I feel comfortable just coming in and winging it, and I still think I'm going to be able to provide value. But a lot of the guests that I choose because they know something that I don't, and I think that most people don't. They're experts in some way. And so that's a lot of learning for me, because to be able to ask a question, you still have to know something about whatever it is,
Yeah.
right?
It's
Rosa suggested K6 crocodile. So I'm actually wearing a Crococon shirt right now. Maybe we could have that.
Uh,
Maybe Rose is talking about the tattoo. So we'll
yeah,
all have basic.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
It's
We're thinking an
well,
avocado, Rose.
yes. There is some truth to this story.
you know when we are kind of worried if we're gonna fill up the time, most of the time we're like, oh, we're almost over. Oh, uh,
Yeah.
on one hand, like we got a cut, and on the other, like we want to talk so much more about
Uh-huh.
most of the topics. It's hard to stop. It's a silly worry because I don't
Mhm.
know, probably the guests that we have had, that's a common question like, oh, what are we going to talk? Is that long? Like when you say anything over 15 minutes, it's like, how? And boy, we go all over the place with those
Mm,
things. Is
yeah.
So what do you think are the best things that have come from K6 office hours for you personally?
Mm,
I think if I may go first, always jumpy with
Just
things.
go.
It's like you said it several times. You get people talking about topics that probably we cannot wing it. Probably we don't know at all. Personally, and I always said it, I love here to not play dumb because I'm ignorant on some topics and some others. I remember the episode with pods and Kubernetes that Paul was like instructing me,
mm,
and that always leaves some more understanding, some more. I always do the dumb questions like, and why doesn't it connect? And why do I have to type this? Or I don't know, why not overload the pod, and things that I always come out of this, even if I know the topic, someone comes with something that like, oh, you always come out of these episodes with something new, something improved, learning, or at the very least, fun. We always get
Yeah.
fun here.
Yeah. Now that's like, and for me, it's like a lot of it's just the interpersonal interaction with the community. I guess I'm a little bit of a social geek. I always considered myself an introvert, but it's like this is kind of fun. I mean, you get some feedback and really get the impression that yeah, maybe this we are making a difference and
yeah.
things like that, and hearing how people are using the product and how it's hopefully improving their work life. So
Yeah.
and
Quite
it's fun to
similar.
hear what kind of beer they like and things like that. So
It's quite similar for me as well. Like just that continuous learning because every episode that I've taken part of, like I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't know K6 can do that, or that's a really good thing to know, and it's like that um you know realization that a lot of people have used K6 and have extended it in like different ways, and then when we show what they've done, like I think that's a really like awesome like side effect because we've had integrations with like third party companies. We've got like extensions that the people from the community have created, and so when we have them as guests in K6 like office hours, we're like showing people that yeah, K6 is not just this like tooling like for specific like purpose. It can be extended to also support different things, and just learning about that, that's really cool.
You just got me thinking when you mentioned that you learned something new about K6, and often personal imposter syndrome and
Mm.
afraid like, wait, you're a dev for K6 and you don't
Yeah.
know everything about
yeah,
K6.
exactly.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, I know some areas have used a lot these ones, but that's why there's four of us and we try to complement, and there's always new uh,
Mm,
upcoming awesome and even weird things, plugins and things coming up. That's what we are here for, trying to
right.
keep up and share with everyone what are the new things or secret things in K6.
Yeah, and with now with all the Grafana stack
Ooh.
mixed in too, it's like just
Yeah.
there's so much, but it's all
Yeah.
so good. That's what's so cool
Yeah.
about it.
I really I second everyone on the learning front, and I also have a specific example which also I don't know if it's my favorite because there's a lot to choose from, but that episode stands out because I had to do the most learning for it just to prepare. and it's actually the one on CubeDim, on microservices testing, and also like the self-adaptive service degradation. So with control theory and brownouts and dimming, and we found this guy who had just graduated, and he did his thesis using K6, and he came up with this proxy called CubeDim, and I knew I wanted to have him on. However, to be able to ask the right questions, I had to read his thesis. So here's an example of what it looks like to prepare for that. So I went through his video because he defended his thesis, and I watched him defend it, and I watched his slide presentation. This is what the office hours actually looked like. It's Kelvin Zhang. But I also like took notes on what he tried. So like here's my notes on like microservices, and then I had to create a note on the circuit breaker pattern, and like what that is. None of this was here before. Like I had to think about how it relates to a cascading failure, circuit breakers. Like there's a lot that I had to do to really fully understand this. um, I made a note on microservices versus monoliths, and then yeah, like there's a lot here that I had to understand, and the concept of dimming as well, and brownout theory. All of this was in preparation for that one episode.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that I love the most about it. That this is really like I learned a lot from that episode and from asking him. And then after the episode, I then went back and changed some of what I thought. This is what I love about tech, is that no matter how much you know, you're never gonna know it all. And some young, because he was really he's fresh out of college, and I found it so humbling and so refreshing to get that perspective from him. But also some other things that I love are about when I'm at a conference and people come up and say like, oh, I watched office hours, or the other thing is there have been a few people who joined K6 who said, hey, I joined K6 in part because I watched one of your office hours episodes and I thought this is a cool company.
Yeah.
And that makes me feel really good.
Yep.
Yeah.
In some weird matter, also that's why Maria and I are here, and because you were like, hey, wanna come? Not to the company, but let's play together. Let's do. And one thing and took to the other, and then now officially playing together. I think that's a great outcome of having members of the team, people that have contributed now have joined the team. I saw a few saying hello at the beginning, and it it is a great feeling, and I think for you as well to be able to certify that he can graduate because of his thesis. You almost can be on the board because you read it all, and you mentioned even some terms that I'm like, huh, I may ask you to share those notes because I don't know
Yeah,
some of
they're
those
all
topics, and I'm
public.
like, yeah. I just don't know where to find them.
Yeah.
But it's a great experience hearing from people that, hey, because of what I have been learning in office hours, in the content that is generated, everything that K6 DevRels create, that's why I have an office, a job. I can feed my family.
No,
I
that's
love
really
this so
Thanks,
much.
Rose.
Ah,
Yes, office hours definitely made me wish I could work with y'all. Aw, that's awesome. That's really
that,
nice to hear.
that's what happens with all this joy and ficas and stuff that we get together, right?
yeah.
Uh,
But it's a beautiful feeling knowing as well that you can help people that one way or another you're changing lives. I know it may sound John Lennon-y, imagine and blah blah blah, but um, we give something back to the world, and we get something back. We get educated as well.
man, I'm gonna cry.
I love you all.
I have some things that I can also talk about. Like one of the things that we do, there are lots of different types of office hours, right? But a lot of them focus on use cases. So I wanted to quickly highlight some like collaborations with external people that I really enjoyed. There was benchmarking hosting providers with K6 with Kevin Ohashi, who does every year this this he releases his results for benchmarking different providers and like really also in a repeatable way because he provides a repo with the K6 tests that he used. There's load testing and Azure DevOps with our now champion Jose Luis Latorre Millas. It's really cool that like we had three people who joined office hours first, then joined the company, being Leandro Marie and also Ivan Skiba. But we also have people that now are K6 champions, so they haven't joined the company, but they did get involved further, and that's such a great thing. I already mentioned the CubeDim thing with Kelvin Zhang. GitLab using K6 with Grant Young was really awesome because GitLab's like a big name. We had Daniel Knittelfrank talk about Eurofunk, and how emergency services are tested with K6. And that to me and to the whole K6 team was like, wow, what we're working on can save lives. You know,
Right.
that's a pretty sobering thought. We also did stuff with Canonical, New Relic, Postman, a lot of Grafana stuff. Testing Grafana Mimir with K6 was pretty awesome. And then SteadyBit, Grafana Faro, Trace Test, Test Cube, Supabase, Lambda Test, and most recently Goliath.
And if I may, I would add as well, we even got to space, you know?
What?
Yeah, K6 browser has been used in NASA projects. Our good friend champion, John, oh
Oh, John
boy,
Hill.
John
Yeah.
Hill.
yeah, NASA is using K6 and
Oh,
Grafana, and it's something that I remember it was super cool when
I think
Grafana
that
was
was,
like,
yeah. I think he did that on a conference though. I don't think we've had him as part of office hours, yeah. Yet. Yet.
yet,
Yeah.
but of the people that, and may we spoil soon? Stay tuned.
how about you all?
Spoiler alert.
Are there any other episodes that stand out for you?
Who, me? Paul?
All of you.
Oh,
Yeah, I think for me, my week of load testing, because that was like my first, office hour as a K6 or as a graphanista, and I just remember there was a lot of questions already about the XK6 browser, and then we had that um we talked about the different executors in K6. I remember it was us four. That was quite fun as well because I think that was the first episode where four dev roles were in one K6 office hour.
How much trouble can we get into in one time?
Yeah.
Uh,
And I have a soft spot for the AMA with the champions because during that time we were still very quite early stages with the K6 champions program, so it was great to also highlight and promote them as part of K6 office hours.
Yeah, one that really stands out for me is actually it's two of them, 45 and 46. When we had Nicole, you and I had Victor
Victor.
Farchich yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, yeah, because he's one of those ones in the DevOps community where it's just like,
Mm.
he's all over the place. I mean, he's always being pushed on my YouTube feed. So yeah, so that was kind of cool. That was getting to speak with him on things.
Back to
it's
back
a
as well, yeah.
Yeah,
a
yeah.
bit humbling, right? When you are like, this is someone I follow, I admire, and we're sharing a stage together,
That's
virtual stage,
right.
of course, but still counts. It's that's
Exactly.
gives goosebumps, right?
Starstruck, Victor and Nicole. It's like, oh man. Yeah.
Oh God. No, I also I have that pegged as one of my favorite moments because Victor Farchich is great and very chaotic, and I
Yeah,
loved
yeah.
it.
It was
Um,
very, yeah, by the, just let's
just
just do
like
this.
strap
It's
on,
like
sit
whatever.
down, and enjoy the ride. Forget the
Exactly.
talking points. Like you might end up in a very different place. And
Yeah.
that was one of the reasons why we ended up having two episodes back to back with him. It was great. So
Yeah.
Victor Farchich came to talk about Upbound and Crossplane and how he had tied in Crossplane with Grafana as well. And that was both entertaining and informative.
It was a
I
blast.
also I also
Go.
really liked the episode with Pavel where we talked about how we work at K6 because I thought that that was I also really like that we've been able to talk about those discussions to tackle those discussions about remote work
Yeah.
and a bit more of the behind the scenes stuff because that's what I like to see.
I think that going last for me, the one of the biggest ones was the testing types, the load testing types. Having Pepe in the show also was some fun, and I gotta say after because the content from for that episode it took a bit of work. It came from a blog post that I was working on together with Pepe, and we had a lot of questions, a lot of feedback. There was a lot of people on that episode, and nowadays it's um, I feel well and kind of proud of what we generated because some of the content that we created for that blog post and in that episode that we shared with people, we've started to see it all over the place. Like people liked it and started to adopt and had so many interesting questions in that episode that that one has a special place in my heart because it took a while to come up with that information. Like was like the cherry on top for that effort in that line of project, call it in a way.
Mm.
And I think the other one is hard to pin in like a second place, but mostly some of the collaborations with external contributors or partners or other companies. I always get so much fun, and I think the learning there is incredible. To collaborate with new people and be able to, I wouldn't say wing it, but getting people feeling anxious or being on camera and like relax, we're gonna have some fun and we're gonna bring fikas and coffee and stuff, and it's fine. It's make it. You made me think a little bit like he's chaotic in the way that he comes. So I wonder what people say about us when we are like, yeah, let's have fun, yeah. Right?
Some other moments, talking of chaos, there was one, I think Paul might know what I'm talking about. There was one guest who very abruptly had to go to the toilet and left in the middle of the stream, and we were like,
Oh
okay. And
At the very least, muted the
that
mic.
was no, I muted them.
Oh,
no. Okay.
oh.
Yeah. So sometimes things come up like that are like, okay, so anyway, Paul.
Let's play some music.
Yeah, I feel like that's
Yeah.
happening right now for me because, of course, while live streaming here, maintenance comes over to the house, and then my dog's going crazy, and it's just like wrong, bad timing.
You're
I
not the
think
only one. I think the cats here
yeah.
are not only in K6 News, they have also photo bombed or video bombed or stream bombed our streams. We always have special weird guests at times
Yeah. I
and
think my
situations.
daughter has video bomb or photo bomb it as well because like she was shouting at me and I have my my headphones on and she thought it was finished because she couldn't hear the background and then she just came downstairs and I went on mute and I said, Gabby, I'm doing live stream now. So it happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
My husband has also video bombed, forgetting what time it was. I think this was during it was a different time from normal, and he came in and asked me something, and, and I was in the middle of talking.
Yeah. Yeah.
um
Mark Caseno, yeah, said kids always come in on meetings. Yeah.
I also enjoyed being able to wear my Pikachu ears when I was talking about getting started with chaos engineering. That was
Making
fun.
things chaotic. It's a little
Yeah.
like when we do the streams from some conferences. I don't know if you were on that one, Paul, in Vegas, and we were
Yeah.
doing a stream, and some
With
ladies in bikini were like, "Yeah, da, da, da," da." We're like, "Oh, this is gonna be interesting show."
Yeah, I think that was with
Sarah
Sarah.
Zipkin, also a K6
Yeah,
champion.
I was there. So yeah, you and I were both
Yeah.
from Vegas, live from
Oh, and the
Vegas.
guard as well. Yeah, we
Yes.
were streaming from after the conference, and there was a security guard looking at us and moving curtains, and we were like, we're doing a show here. Sorry,
Yeah.
we were on public space, but things happen.
Hey, we're gonna have this opportunity too in like what 3 weeks?
Star Wars.
Starting
Star
October,
West.
stay tuned because you will see these mustaches streaming soon.
Also, a few things that something we haven't touched on is how the office hours have marked the milestones of K6. So, for example, big features like the Prometheus remote write integration when it became native, that we talked about that, K6 operator, browser testing in general, the whole K6 browser journey has been documented on office hours, private load zones, even Grafana Cloud K6,
Yeah.
Apache Kafka, and most importantly, the announcement of the Grafana Labs acquisition. I did one with Robin and then another one with Robin and with Raj, our CEO. So that was very cool. It's like I have really enjoyed being able to talk to many people in the company about all of these new developments.
Yeah. It shows like that level of transparency as well that we're trying to, communicate to the community. Because, for example, coming from the browser perspective, like we've had questions initially like, oh, when is K6 going to support, Web Vital metrics? And we've had that question constantly. So we've obviously taken that feedback in. I remember when we all first met at CrocCon, we had a team meeting about K6 browser, and that was one of the feedback that I suggested is, Web Vital metrics are standard. When it comes to web performance, we should be supporting this, and it's great because the whole team agrees as well. But it just shows that level of transparency that we try to commit.
Yeah, there are a lot of things like that. Things that we said, hey, this should just be part of K6 Core.
Mm.
And it's like, oh, it actually is now. It's an experimental module.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yeah.
it
No.
starts from here, but it ends up from our wish list, and it happens. So people tuning, feel free to send some requests, and who knows, it may happen.
Exactly. Wishes do come true.
No, no,
Yeah, I
the async await function. I was wishing it for so long,
Yeah.
and hola, Mijael, thank you so much. I really enjoy to have that function finally.
yeah. I
Hmm.
have also really enjoyed being able to ask beginner level questions and try to explain things for people or for myself.
It's
Mhm.
okay to be a beginner. In the line of transparency, we have always been over too transparent at times, I guess. But it, it's always a learning experience for everyone watching, presenting, and even backstage, the developers and the people that join us. It's always a great experience with office hours.
Yeah. Yeah. From one overshare to another. Yeah. It's
bathroom noises and
Yeah,
children and cats and everything. I mean, we got it all in the show.
exactly, exactly. And
Yeah.
speaking of, I mean, what's the future gonna be?
Yeah, what's next?
What is
Yeah,
next?
so something that we wanted to talk about here is that on the 100th episode, we are going to be, from now on, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. K6 office hours isn't going away. However, we do think right now I am running both K6 office hours and Grafana office hours, but the Grafana office hours has a lot of overlap. Like just, a couple hours ago, Paul and I were on Grafana office hours with Huzaifa Asif, and we were talking about how he uses K6 and Grafana for infrastructure testing and WebSockets testing. So there's a lot of overlap, and we're starting to get to the point where maybe we should just move K6 office hours over to Grafana because we are part of Grafana. And on K6, on the K6 side as well, we are constantly talking about Grafana projects, and like it just works really well together. The closer that we integrate with Grafana projects, the more likely it is that we're going to have episodes where it's not just K6, it's going to be K6 and Grafana and Prometheus and Tempo, and we're discussing it all. So it's like maybe the distinction isn't that useful anymore.
No.
So starting not next week because we have a shutdown day, but the week after that, we will be still doing K6 related topics, but worked into the Grafana Office Hours channel. So if you haven't, the Grafana Office Hours, which is on the Grafana channel, and if you haven't already subscribed to Grafana, then sign up. Subscribe there because that's where we're going to be doing everything from now on because we are part of the family now.
And kick
Like,
that
subscribe,
notification bell, right?
and leave the comment down below.
Yeah.
I hate that. I never say that. Yeah, so it'll be the same people, just sometimes we also want to broaden the scope a little bit
Yeah.
and be able to talk about things. I mean, in some way, now that Grafana Cloud K6 exists, we actually kind of can't talk about K6 without talking about Grafana. That's the
Like
point
peanut
that we're
butter
at.
and jelly. But yeah, and hopefully we'll see a fifth face potentially on some of these episodes as well, because we have Lisa Jung is also a developer advocate.
Yeah.
Things are getting crazier. And in the same line that we were saying earlier, that these episodes bring learning for everyone and growth, I think everyone watching will get as well, like, now I know what is a dashboard. Why should I care about logs? And why should I be doing all of these things that, it's a big ecosystem and we're growing. And we hope that you watching are going to be growing as well.
All right. It's been great to do these 100 episodes with you all. And thank you for those who are watching for
Yeah.
sticking around. Join
And
us
look at that,
on the
we filled
Grafana
up a whole
channel.
hour.
Yeah, even
We
exceeded.
did it.
Really easy. I was never in doubt. There are 4 DevRels in one place. I mean,
It's tough.
we were probably going to talk for another hour after this. So
Next up, we get our tattoos.
yeah, let's
I
talk
know
about
Paul
that off
is,
stream.
yeah.
Stay tuned for the special episode when that happens.
That's right. Yeah, exactly.
Live from the tattoo shop.
We'll do
Yeah.
shorts or something.
There we go. There you go.
All right. Thank you, everybody, and have a great weekend.
Thank you, K6ers.
Yeah.
100 episodes.